Okay, let's have a brief review of what we have discussed so far. Sabi natin, importanteng maintindihan natin kung ano ba talaga yung function ng finance. And there are several definitions of finance. You can come up with more than, I think I've seen yung mga relevant ones, more than 10 no? That are important. But it really boils down to this. No? Okay, it really boils down to management of resources. So sabi natin, finance is all about managing resources, yung how to allocate them, how to come up with acquisitions or businesses proposals, and then how to manage these businesses. So it has something to do with managing yung funds ng business or managing yung cash flows ng business. Okay, so whether it's a for-profit organization or an NGO, kailangan pa rin i-manage yung funds. Kasi sabi nga natin, kung walang cash, kung walang funds yung company, hindi nila ma-attain yung mga business, yung mga goals nila. Either it's the corporate goals or firm goals or institutional goals. Kung walang pera, kung walang financing. Kahit NGOs guys, sabi natin, kailangan ng cash yan. Kailangan ng funding yan. Funding in the form of cash. Kasi syempre, hindi naman tatakbo yung NGO na yan kung walang mga tao. Yung mga tao, syempre, papasweldohin mo rin yan. Tapos yung NGO, kailangan din yan na in order to attain its objectives, may mga gagawin yan, may mga activities na ginagawa yan in order to attain them. Okay? So, a good example of this, yung resource allocation, resource management, is taking a look at the mother company or the holding company. Okay? So, nyari, sabi natin last time, si Ayala Corporation, no? Or si JG Summit, John Gokong Way. No? So, yung mother company, si Ayala Corporation, the finance team will now help decide kung anong mga strategic business unit ba dapat papasok si Ayala. So, alam naman natin si Ayala, it's into telecommunications. Sa Globe, no? That's one SBU, Strategic Business Unit ni Ayala Corporation. Ano pa? Nasa banking and finance din sila, no? In the person of BPI. Nasa real estate din sila. So si Ayala Land. Nasa foods din sila. Nasa agriculture din sila, no? And several other SBUs, no? Or businesses they are in. And syempre, bago sila nagde-decide yan, it goes into a rigorous financing decision. No? Hindi lang basta-basta, ay, sali tayo sa gantong sa automotive industry. Tapos bukas, sige, maglagay tayo ng pondo na ganyan. Hindi pa pwedeng ganon. Kailangan may decision making na ginagawa dyan. No? Okay, so sabi nga natin, another definition of finance is taking a look at it at the institutions, at the instruments, at the markets, at the processes that is involved in the managing of money. So titinan din natin dyan yung markets, kasi sa markets, andyan dyan yung transfer of money, yung flow of funds, either from individuals, kasama yung businesses or governments. Yung flow of funds, yung paglipat-lipat ng funds, for example. No? So ito yung tinitingnan din sa finance. Kiyon specifies that finance is all about creating value or wealth. So ito na yung yung maximizing shareholder value, no? The maintenance and the creation of economic value or wealth, aka shareholder value. So ito yung mga activities na ginagawa ng firm that seeks to optimize economic value or wealth. Okay, so lahat ng mga activities na yun. So lahat ng mga functions ng isang business, ng isang firm, whether it's marketing, accounting, or operations, or people management, lahat yan, may role yung finance dyan. Okay, so we said last time that others would think of finance in a myopic sense. Sasabihin ng iba, ang finance extension ng accounting yan. Not necessarily, no? That's a very myopic way to look at finance. And some would say that finance is all about financial modeling. Yes, in a sense, pero hindi lang yan yung finance, no? Hindi lang yan yung reach ng finance. Some would say that it's a subsector of banking. That's partly true. Ngayon, ang finance, guys, sabi nga natin, malaki yung reach yan. It covers any decision that involves the use of money. So whether that decision comes from the marketing side or operations or HR, people management, or organizational development or organizational behavior, IT, lahat yan nasasaklawan ng finance. Okay? Every decision that the business makes has financial implications, and any decision which affects the finances of a business is a corporate finance decision. So example natin dito guys, ito no, whether it's marketing, so marketing kunyari pricing decision or product strategies, that will involve money flows, no? May money flows yan, kaya sakop din ng finance yan. Ibig sabihin, merong stake ang finance yan. Accounting, okay? Yung kunyari, i-invest sa information systems. Okay, so that will involve funds, so saklaw din ng finance yan. Human capital, this is OB, organizational behavior, or OD, okay? Organizational development. Yung pagdi-develop ng organization in terms of people skills, people talents, no? Okay? Kailangan din ng help ng corporate finance decision making. Or whether it's simply a corporate strategy, kunyari, mag-expand into another business, mag-expand into another industry, kailangan ng inputs ng finance to determine whether this a possible investment in this particular industry is a valid investment. Kailangan din ng inputs from corporate finance, or definitely from operations, production and operations. Okay, may mga money decisions diyan. So kailangan din ng corporate finance yan. So corporate finance as a function really has a very, very wide reach. It affects marketing, it affects accounting and information systems, OD, OB, general management or corporate strategy, okay, IT, etc. Okay, so let's take a look first at the fundamental principles of finance. So titingnan muna natin yung tatlong first principles, tapos meron din tayong other corollary principles. The first principles of finance are this, no? Yung tatlo, investment principle, okay, and then financing principle at saka dividend principle. Okay, let's first take a look at the investment principle. Pag sinabi natin investment principle, ang tanong dyan, saang business ba tayo papasok? Ayan. What projects? Okay, projects can be in the form of entering a particular industry. Kunyari, yung firm, wala pa silang presence, kunyari sa solar and wind power, sa energy industry. No? So ang tanong dyan, is it viable for us to enter this industry? Papasok ba din tayo sa, kunyari, energy distribution or energy pag-create, energy creation, etc. No? Mag-create ba tayo ng mga, kunyari, mag-harness ba tayo ng energy from wind, from fossil fuel, etc. No? Will that be a lucrative business? Will it be a good business? Yung mga decisions na ganyan, guys, purview ng finance yan. Okay? Kasama sa financial, ang tawag natin dyan, investment principle. And finance has an important say in that. Hindi pa pwedeng pabayaan lang yung marketing. Maraming customers dyan, papasok tayo dyan. No? Kailangan natin ng 1 billion for that. That will not work. Kailangan first principles in finance, finance should have a say as far as investment is concerned. Anong projects, anong business na ipapasok? Okay. Next question. Shall we start from scratch? Or is it better to acquire that company na ando dun na? Kunyari, merong isang company na nasa energy, no? Solar and wind power, kunyari, incorporated. So si Ayala gustong magkaroon ng presence doon. So mag-establish ba sila ng panibagong company, or baka pwede natin bilhin na lang yung yung Solar and Wind Power Incorporated. That way, mas mabilis yung entry natin. Ando doon na tayo, may presence agad tayo. Kaysa we'll start from scratch, mag-set up tayo ng company, tapos yung usual na parang entrepreneurial, corporate entrepreneurship, no? Mag-establish tayong panibagong company. Or should we just acquire that company? Bilhin na lang natin yung company na yun. Total, kaya naman natin yung capital. So let's see how much we can buy that company for. Okay, so that's part of capital investments, guys. No? And finance plays a major role in deciding whether to enter that industry or kung papasok sila sa industriya na yun, will they start from scratch or will they just buy an existing player there? So ganun yung mga questions na kailangan as far as investment principle is concerned. Okay? Tapos, ano ba yung goal dyan? Dapat yung goal dyan, dapat yung return ng investment na yan, dapat it should be the highest possible risk-adjusted return. Okay? Pag-uusapan natin in a while, guys, kung ano yung return na yan. Okay, so sulat ko na siguro dito, no? Para makita na natin. Okay, question first. Paki-chat na lang, guys. Kunyari, mag-i-invest tayo dun sa energy. Okay? Tapos na compute natin na ang magiging return natin doon 10%. Okay, question. Okay ba 'yon? Go ba 'yon or no go? Yung 10% na return. Paki-chat nga, guys. Guess niyo lang. Guess. Para sa inyo, go or no go? Okay, thank you, Ingrid. Okay, kay Ingrid, sorry. Kay kay Julian. Sorry. Saan yung glasses ko? So Benj, kay Benj, no? Guys, pakilagay sa to everybody, send it to everybody. Kay Julian, no then. Okay, how about the rest, guys? Wala, dadalawa pa lang nakikita ko, guys, out of the 30. Back to my question, 30% yung return. Okay, ito yung return, 30, oops, ayaw. So, punta tayo dito. Okay, yung return ng business is 10% pala, sorry. 10% yung return ng business. Question, go ba to or no go? Okay, so yung iba, no. Kay Job, okay lang. Kay Liam, no. Okay, sino pa, guys? Benj, no. Kay Rina, no. So, go ba to or no go? Yung question natin. Okay, kay Charmaine, no. Kay John, pwede na. Okay. Now, you have different answers, no? Okay. Now, sa finance, guys, hindi natin basta-basta pwede masagot yung question na yan. Kailangan may basis tayo. Kasi, why did some of you say go? Why did some of you say no go? Okay. Because you were coming from a particular rationale, no? From a particular reason. Now, I don't know what that reason could be. It could be very varied reasons. Siguro may personal perception. Okay? Pero pag finance, guys, in order for us to decide whether this project with a return of 10% per annum is a go or a no-go. Paano natin malalaman kung a go or no-go yan? Kailangan meron tayong basis, meron tayong benchmark. And that benchmark is called your WACC. Okay, so kailangan, alam natin guys, yung yan, WACC. Okay, which means guys, ang ibig sabihin ng WACC na yan is weighted average cost of capital. Okay, we're going to meet this WACC measure na to. Okay, kailangan natin yan, yung WACC. Kasi basis yan for decision ng investment. Okay, another name for this is your hurdle rate. That's what happened there. Okay, this is also called your hurdle rate. Okay, WACC or hurdle rate. Okay, so how do we now address this question? This project, this potential project, magbibigay sa atin ng returns ng 10%. Tanong, okay ba to o hindi? The way to answer that is to compare that with your weighted average cost of capital. In a nutshell, ano ba yung weighted average cost of capital? Weighted average cost of capital is that cost, no? As the name suggests, ito yung average cost na kailangan na na fina-finance ng company yung investments. Okay, so this is the average cost that ng company for long-term investments. So if the WACC, for example, is 12%, kunyari 12% to. Ang WACC natin, average cost for the company to acquire funds, long-term funds, is 12%. So ang return ng project is 10%. Anong answer? No-go tayo, guys. No-go tayo, guys. No? No-go. Bakit? Ang return ng project, 10%. Ang cost of capital, ang cost to acquire funds is 12%. Lugi yung company. So it's 12%, so no-go tayo. If the WACC, on the other hand, was, kunyari, ang WACC is, let's say it's, naglolo ko tong digital pen ko. If the WACC, on the other hand, was 8%, okay, so what would be the answer? Okay yung project, go yung project. Kasi yung return ng project, 10%, yung WACC, 8% lang. So, okay yung project. For as long as the return of the project, guys, is higher than your weighted average cost of capital, okay yung investment na yan. So, that's how we answer yung sa tinatawag natin na investment decision. Okay. Okay. Saan na tayo? Ito, no? Earn the highest possible risk-adjusted return. Of course, dapat naka-benchmark yan against the weighted average cost of capital. Okay. So, how about the financing principle? Ano naman itong financing principle? Ang financing principle, guys, it helps us to determine how to fund capital investments. So, paano ba yung financing ng capital investment na yan, ng long-term project na yan? Should it be equity or should it be debt? Uutang ba yung company or hihiram or infusion ba ng ng equity ng owners? So ganun yung sinasagot, guys, ng financing, no? Ng financing principle. Okay, and also itong importante na nung sa capital financing is determine the firm's capital structure. Okay, ano ba yung capital structure? Capital structure is the percentage of your, is the mix of your debt and equity. Lagyan natin dito. No? So, capital structure. Okay, capital structure. Capital structure, or this is your capital mix. So, pareho lang yun. Oops, bakit ayaw? Okay, or baka problema yung connection ng digital pen ko. This is also your mix, no? Ayaw ah. Sorry ah. Capital mix, no? Ano ba yan, guys? So, di ba assets is equal to liabilities plus equity? Okay, if we divide this by assets, divide everything by assets. Okay, this reduces to asset divided by assets, that's 100%, di ba? So, this is now equal to your DR plus your ER. Your DR is your debt ratio, ER is your equity or capital ratio. No? Kaya ang tanong, ano ba yung maganda para sa isang company? Ilang percent yung debt ratio, ilang percent yung equity ratio? So I'm going to ask you now to write your opinion, guys. Write your, ano sa tingin nyo ang pinakamagandang capital structure or capital mix na isang company? Ang first nyo will be yung debt, and second yung equity. So, kunyari, 50-50 or 40-60. 40 yung debt, 60 yung equity. Okay, so may I have your answers now, guys? Paki-chat nga sa chat box. What to you is the best capital structure ng isang company? Okay, thank you, Liam. Kay Liam, it's 50-50. Okay. Yung iba, guys? Okay, thank you, John. 1090 kay John. No? Okay, I would like to see 28 more answers. Kay Elijah, 50-50 din. Sa iba, nice. So, kay Cedric, kay Adrian, 50-50 din. Okay. So, yung iba, I'm still waiting for your answers. Okay, kay Jillian, it's 40-60. Kay Francis, it's 50-50. Okay, kay Tim, 50-50. Kay Benj, at least 50%. Okay. Equity, so at least 50. So, kay Benj, ang dapat hindi bababa yung ER, yung equity ratio ng 50%. Okay. So, pwedeng 50% or higher yung equity ratio. Okay, thank you, Benj, thank you. Tapos, okay. Yeah, that's correct. 50% plus 1, yung equity. No? 51-49. Okay, so pwedeng ganun. Kay Eliza, 35-65. Kay Abel naman, equity ratio should be greater than the debt ratio. Okay? So, generic yung kay Abel. Sabi niya, dapat equity ratio, dapat mas malaki kay debt ratio. Thank you, Abel. Okay, kay Honey, ganun din, no? Pareho kay Abel, dapat mas malaki yung equity ratio. Okay. So, you have several answers, guys, no? Yeah, kay pareho, no? Okay, you have several answers. Yung iba, ang sabi, 50-50, yung iba 51-49, yung iba 35-65. Okay, sa kabilang class, meron nga guys 0-100, no? Tapos meron naman kayo dito generic na answer, dapat mas mataas si equity ratio. Okay, so let's answer that question. Ano ba yung best? May 40-60? Okay? Sabi ko nga sa isang class kanina, merong 0-100, no? 0-100. Ibig sabihin, ayaw ng utang. And there are people like that, no? Usually, ang nagde-decide niyan, syempre, yung C-suite natin, yung mga executive officers, kung ano yung capital structure ng firm, but it's really based on a sound decision. Okay? And it hindi siya yung parang emotional decision lang na dapat 50-50, no? There's a way to compute that, what we call the optimal capital structure. And the answer to that is the best capital structure, the optimal capital structure is the capital structure that what? That, alam niyo answer niyan, guys. It's a capital structure that, ano kaya? That, okay, sabihin ko na yung answer, ha? It's a capital structure that maximizes shareholder value. Yun. Okay, babalik lagi tayo dyan. No? Yung capital structure na pinakamaganda, na optimal, guys, is that capital structure that maximizes shareholder value. Okay, thank you, no? Gab, thank you, you're correct. That maximizes the market value of the stock. That maximizes shareholder value. Yun, guys, ang capital structure. And while we're here, i-discuss ko lang kasi interesting yung sinabi ng answer kanina, no? Sa isang section, sinabi 0. Okay. May nag-answer ng ng 0-100, no? 0 debt and 100% yung equity. Tapos meron nga doon 595, no? So ito, guys, 0, 100 or 595, yung mga answer natin 50-50, may ganyan, no? So different capital structures, the best of them is the one that maximizes shareholder value. Ang implication nan, guys, each company will have their own, okay, their own optimal capital structure. Okay, magkakaiba yon. Magkakaiba. And by the way, guys, itong optimal capital structure is the one that's used in computing for the weighted average cost of capital. Yun ang ginagamit natin para i-compute yung weighted average cost of capital, yung WACC. Okay, now, ito, guys, itong 0 to 100, okay, there are good points here and bad points, no? good point nito, walang utang, no? Walang liquidity risk kasi wala namang babayar na interest expense. Okay, ang main advantage yan is that ang utang kasi guys, it's a leverage. Alam niyo yung lever? It's a lever. So leverage yan. So isipin niyo guys yung seesaw. Okay? Kunyari ito parang fulcrum dito, tapos meron kang dito, may plank of wood ka dito. Okay, this is a lever. Ibig sabihin, pwede niyang mapataas yung profit. Ha, pwede ba yun? Pwede ba tumaas yung profit because of the use of debt, kasi may interest payment yan? Yes, guys. In effect, guys, pwedeng magkaroon in terms of liability, in terms of tax. Kasi, let me explain, no? We have here your earnings before interest and taxes, yung EBIT natin. Tapos, ibabawas natin yung interest dyan. Pag walang interest, pag walang utang, so zero yan, di ba? So that leaves us with your earnings before tax, which is just the same as your EBIT. Kasi wala namang binawas sa interest eh. So, ang tax nito guys will be higher as compared to one that used interest, no? That used interest. Kasi pag may interest yan guys, mababawas yung EBIT natin, okay? And then your tax will be lower. Okay, mas bababa yung tax natin, okay? Okay, so ang effect niyan is a lower tax. So nagkakaroon tayo ng tax shield because of the use of debt. Kaya siya lever, no? In a sense, pwedeng naiaangat niya, in a sense, yung profitability. So, having debt is good also, guys. Okay? So, bakit? In the real world kasi, hindi naman talaga lahat ng pangangailangan ng company kayang i-provide ng company, kayang i-provide ng earnings niya. Magkakaroon guys ng pagkakataon na kulang sa liquidity, kulang sa cash, so kailangan humiram. Virtually impossible guys, practically impossible yung isang company na awash with cash. Ibig sabihin, sobrang cash siya, ang dami niyang cash. Tapos, hindi niya kailangan ng manghiram. Chances are magkakaroon ng business opportunity na kakailangan ninyong more cash. So, paano kung hindi siya manghihiram? Hindi naman pwedeng sabihin na, ay, wag na lang natin i-invest, wag na lang tayo mag-invest sa business na ganyan kasi pag nag-invest tayo sa ganyan, uutang tayo eh. Trying to avoid debt, guys, especially if there's a good business proposition, is a very wrong finance decision. Okay? Okay lang umutang, basta alam natin yung return ng project na yan will far outweigh yung mga cost ng pag-utang natin. Di ba? Mas maganda yung ganun, guys. No? That's a better proposition. So that comes from your investment principle. Sorry guys mukhang hindi nyo nababasa ibang nakasulat dito. Then next, we go to capital financing principle. Ano naman yung capital financing principle? Ang nakalagay dyan guys, determine how to, determine how to fund capital investments. Ano ibig sabihin yan? Okay, kunyari may investment tayo na gustong pasukan yung company. Okay, depende yan kung ano yung term. Kunyari, kung short term lang yan, dapat ipa-finance siya ng short-term debt. Short-term assets, dapat finance ng short-term debt. Yun ang tinatawag natin na matching principle. You don't finance long-term assets with short-term debt. Kunyari, may 10 billion na investment tayo, no? Tapos, manghihiram ka lang na 30-day na utang. Okay? That's wrong, no? Dapat kung long-term investment, dapat ang financing yan, dapat long-term, then ima-match natin yung life ng asset. Pag short-term lang yan, kunyari, OPEX lang yan, no? Mangungutang lang tayo, we don't use long-term na utang to finance a short-term asset. Hihiram ka lang ng mga ano ka ng inventory, bibili ka. Okay? Huwag kang mangungutang ng 10-year bond para sa asset na gagamitin mo lang para dun sa operating cycle na yun. So there will be a mismatch there. Expensive yung ganun. just to finance a purchase of raw material, gagamit ka ng bond na 10 years. May mismatch yun. So that's part of capital financing. And ito yung sinabi ko guys na optimizing the firm's capital structure. Kailangan yung capital structure natin optimized. No? So should it be 40-60? Okay, so 30-70 ba? And that can be computed no? Using some financial modeling practices, no? Principles. So pwede ma-compute yan yung tinatawag natin na capital structure. Importante yung capital structure, yung optimal capital structure, kasi yun ang gagamitin natin to compute for your weighted average cost of capital. And by the way, guys, pwedeng nagbabago yung weighted average cost of capital, yung WACC, no? O yung optimal capital structure natin, pwedeng nagbabago yan. It doesn't mean na pag 40-60 ngayon, forever ng 40-60 yan. Certain changes in the market, certain changes in the capital markets could also change the optimal mix of the company. So laging inaano yan, minsan yearly tinitingnan or sometimes 2 years, depende sa conditions ng market. And third guys, yung dividend principle. Okay. Alam natin ano ba yung dividend principle? Okay, so let me exit that first. Okay. So, saan ba nanggagaling dividends? Yung dividends guys, nanggagaling sa earnings yan. So, meron yung company net income after tax. So, anong disposition ito? Anong gagawin dito? So, they decide whether this is retained in the form of, di ba na-discuss natin itong retained earnings, or this is distributed to the owners in the form of dividends. Yan. So, yan yung disposition. Anong gagawin sa net income after tax? So, kailangan guys, i-determine ng management, particularly finance, kung ito ba, ipo-flow back ba? Pag flow back, ibig sabihin, ibabalik dun sa operations ng business para to fund other projects, no? Other feasible projects. Or kung wala namang masyadong magandang business na paglalagyan, baka pwede natin i-return to as dividends. No? Okay, so this is what we call itong ratio na to. So kunyari, sabihin natin ito 80% yung retain, 20% yung dividends. Pinag-aaralan din ng finance yan, guys. So responsibility ng finance kung to determine whether a portion of the earnings should be distributed as dividends. Tapos kung meron man dividends, magkano, ilang percent ng profit. Okay? So kailangan alamin nila yung what we call is this is your RR. RR stands for the retention ratio. Ilan yung retain? Okay, I hope you read it guys, retention, no? To retain. Ito naman, ang tawag natin dito, this is your DPO. DPO stands for Dividend Pay Out Ratio. Okay, magkano ipe-pay out ng company? May advantage ba guys kung nagbibigay ng dividends? Yes, guys. Yes. A company that issues dividends regularly, like blue chip companies, no? Yung mga blue chip companies are companies that are listed in the Philippine Stock Exchange. Tapos, maganda yung track record ng company na yan. Over the years, ang ganda ng mga earnings na na-earn niya. Over the years, nagta-track record siya na profitability, stability, growth, yung mga factors na yun, guys. No? So, those are blue chip companies. And for long-term investments talaga, mas maganda talaga maglalagay ng pera sa blue chip companies. Okay? Kasi usually, blue chip companies have regular dividends. Ano ba ginagawa ng dividends? Okay, so returns sa shareholders yun, di ba? And also, pag nag-regularly nagbibigay ng dividends, it sends a signal sa market. Na itong company na to, very stable yung company na to. Over the long term, very stable siya. Tapos maganda mag-invest sa company na to. So what will happen is that there will be a greater demand to invest in that company sa stock market, usually sa secondary market, sa Philippine Stock Exchange. So ano mangyayari kung mas maraming gustong bumili ng Jollibee, for example, o San Miguel? The demand for that stock increases. So ano nangyayari? Basic rule ng demand and supply, pag lumaki yung demand tapos constant lang yung supply, then tataas yung price yan. Tataas yung share price. And isn't that the main objective of an organization? which is to maximize shareholder value, to optimize shareholder value, para nagkakaroon ng capital appreciation yung company, yung shareholders, di ba? Okay, so importante yung dividends, guys, kasi swak na swak yan dun sa main objective ng organization, which is to maximize shareholder value. A company that issues dividends regularly, ibig sabihin, regular yung returns niya, okay yung returns ng company na yan. Okay? Kasi hindi ka naman makakapagbigay ng dividends kung loss ka lagi. Okay? So meron tinatawag yan na market signal. It sends a signal to the market that, hey, our company is very good. No? Take a look at our dividends record. Regularly, quarterly, nagbibigay kami ng dividends. Okay? So, saan ka pa? Sabi ng company na yan, parang ganun yung message. So, it's a communication message, no? To would-be investors. Okay, itong company na to. Ang galing ng mga returns sila, ang ganda ng mga earnings, nakakapagbigay ng dividends. Pasok nga kaya tayo dyan, mag-invest tayo dyan. So, maraming gustong pumasok. Ang nangyayari, okay, economics yan eh. Law of supply and demand, mas magiging attractive yung stock na yan, tapos tataas yung price yan kasi maraming gustong bumili and limited yung demand, tataas yung price. So, parang highest bidder yan. Ganun kasi talaga sa market. No? Okay, so that's your dividend decision, guys. No? Importante ito. No? So, itong tatlong to, yung capital investment, financing investment, and your dividends and return of capital. Okay, let's take a look at the... Okay, so tingnan muna natin, guys, yung investment principle. Kasi sa investment principle, di ba sinasabi natin, it's a financing decision kung saan ilalagak yung pera, kung saan ipapasok yung pera, anong industry. So example natin, di ba, yung mga SBUs, yung mga holding companies, yung mga mother companies, sila nagde-decide kung papasok ba tayo sa energy, papasok ba tayo sa telecommunications, okay, etc. Diba? Recently, yung sila Dennis Uy, yung group of companies nila, yung group of company, pinasukan nila yung telecommunications. For sure, guys, nag-due diligence yung mga yan. Tinignan nila yung attractiveness ng pag-set up ng bagong telecommunications company. And remember, guys, na franchise lang yan, no? So kailangan nag-i-exact yung government dyan na kailangan i-honor nila yung franchising, yung license na binigay sa kanila ng government. So kung hindi nila ma-honor yon, pwedeng tanggalin yung franchise na yan. So dito, placed a huge amount of investments sa infrastructure, sa mga cell sites, etc. Ang laki-laki, billions yan yung investment na yan. Okay, so ano kaya nakita nila? And they did not do acquisition. Hindi nila in-acquire si Globe. Parang panibagong company yun. No? Unlike yung dati, I don't know if you, yung si Sun, okay, si Sun Cellular, no? 'Di ba? Dati third player na 'yan eh. Tapos ang ginawa ni Smart, inacquire nila. Binili nila siya para, well, in a sense, parang antitrust siya kasi it kills competition. Bawal kasi bawal ang papatay mo yung competition. Kasi that will really affect yung market prices. Okay? Ang tawag diyan antitrust policy ng government na hindi pa pwedeng patayin mo yung competition. The government would like to encourage a more robust competition, no? Kasi that's beneficial to the market in general, to the consumers, to the customers in general. Okay, so saan mag-i-invest? Dapat, kung ano man business i-invest, guys, kailangan yung returns yan mas mataas pa sa WACC ng company, weighted average cost of capital. I'm sure ginawa ni Dito yan. No? Nag-compute yan, tapos nakita nila yung returns mas mataas kaysa dun sa weighted average cost of capital nila or yung acceptable hurdle rate nila. Okay? So, kasi meron tayong tinatawag na risk and return principle, which is the higher the assumed risk, the higher the required return. So, babalikan ko ito mamaya, i-discuss ulit natin to. Pero sa investment principle, guys, ang sinasabi lang natin na whatever investment, long-term investment na ipapasok ng company, kailangan yung returns yan dapat mas mataas kaysa dun sa minimum acceptable hurdle rate ng company or the weighted average cost of capital. Okay? And also, Itong WACC na to, kung mas risky yung project, dapat mas mataas dapat yung required return, no? Yung hurdle rate. Bakit? As I mentioned a while ago, yung principle na yan, kung yung project na yan is very high risk, dapat i-adjust natin yung WACC, dapat i-adjust natin yung hurdle rate. Kasi dapat mako-compensate tayo, yung firm, for assuming a higher amount of risk. No? Okay, so the higher the assumed risk, the higher should be the required return. Okay, ito yung sinasabi dito. Hurdle rate should be higher for riskier projects. Okay, and also, yung hurdle rate dapat based on computation ng WACC yan, yung financing mix, yung balance ng, yung mix ng funds, equity, at saka yung debt. So we said that we have to compute for the WACC, no? Dapat kino-compute yung weighted average cost of capital. Tapos, and that's your hurdle rate. Any decision as far as regards investment, dapat yung benchmark natin yung WACC or yung hurdle rate. Dapat yung return ng project must be higher than that. Okay? Clear yan so far, guys? Paki-chat nga kung clear yung investment principle. Pause muna ako, guys. Okay, maximizes, yeah. Thank you, Gab, you're correct, no? Okay, thank you. So, si Jillian lang ba yung kausap ko, guys? Clear ba so far yung investment principle? Okay, Sophia, thank you. Okay, Eliza, thank you. Guys, don't hesitate to ask questions, ha? Napansin nyo naman siguro pag nagka-question kayo, I don't treat any question as secondary. Importante sa atin yung mga questions nito, no? Okay, thank you, guys. Thank you. So I'm glad that so far clear tayo sa investment principle. May isa pa yatang slide tayo ng no? Ng investment principle. Okay, ito, no? Importante din, guys, sa investment principle, ang tinitingnan natin in order to analyze a potential investment are always cash flows. Okay? In fact, this leads us to a very important principle also, that cash flow is king, or cash flows are king. Hari ang cash flows, guys. No? Pag nag-a-analyze tayo, i-evaluate tayo ng isang business, hindi natin tinitingnan yung net income after tax. Kailangan i-solve yung net income after tax, pero kailangan i-convert yan into cash flows. Okay, bakit kaya cash flows, guys? Bakit cash flows? For the simple reason, guys, that when we borrow money to fund these investments, ano hinihiram natin? Paki-chat nga, guys. Ano hinihiram? Ano hihiramin ng company natin? Thank you. Thank you. Of course, cash, di ba? Usapang pera yan, guys. Okay, so yung pinaghiraman natin na bangko, okay, ano ina-expect nila na ibabayad natin? Guys, are they expecting laway? Are they expecting us to submit the balance sheet? Hindi. Ang ina-expect nila, okay yung balance sheet nyo, okay yung income statement no. Okay, that's good. Pero give me the cash. Ganun ang usapan dyan. Siyempre, guys, pera ang hiniram, pera ang ibabayad. Okay? So talagang usapang pera to, guys. Ganun talaga, yun ang medium ng exchange. It's based on the cash flows. So titingnan natin, ano ba yung mga inflows, cash inflows yan. So sulat ko lang dito, titingnan natin yung cash inflows and cash outflows. Yung labas ng pera, syempre kasi pag mag-i-investment tayo, may mga lalabas na pera diyan. So titingnan natin yung lahat ng cash flows, both positive and negative. And not only that, titingnan din natin yung timing. Kasi 'di ba hindi naman lahat ng cash flows makukuha natin on year 1. Yung iba yan sa year 2, year 3, year 4. So kailangan i-plot natin yung timeline ng cash natin. Okay, may question ako sa inyo, guys. Sabihin nyo kung tell me, okay, sa chat. Okay, what do you prefer? To get 1 million now or to get 1 million after 1 year? Sige nga. What do you prefer? To get 1 million now or to get 1 million after 1 year? Okay, my answer na si Liam, my answer si John. Okay, how about the rest, guys? Now or after 1 year? Okay? Alright. So, yung iba hindi ko nakikitang sumagot, no? Ayan. Sige. Thank you. Okay. So, O, at least 1/3 yung sumagot. Okay, meron pa? Baka pwede nyo i-type, guys. Okay, so si John, okay, let's not consider first yung deflation, ano? But thank you, John, for your answer. Okay, merong sumagot ng after 1 year, but most of you answered now. Okay, if I'm going to answer this question, guys, I will answer, I want 1 million now. Bakit? Kasi pag makuha ko na yung 1 million ngayon, anong pwede kong magawa? Pwede kong ipasok yan sa isang investment o paggalawin yung pera niyan, gawa akong simple business. And then after 1 year, what will happen? Assuming I earn from my 1 million now, di ba mas malaki pa sa 1 million yung magiging pera natin, no? Right, guys? After 1 year. So, mas maganda yung pera natin ngayon. Makuha natin ngayon. Okay? Magkaiba, guys, yung 1 million ngayon at saka 1 million after 1 year because of the principle of the time value of money. So, meron tayong tinatawag na ganong principle, no? The time, hindi pala pwedeng sulatan kapag hindi naka-present. Okay, meron tayong tinatawag na time value of money. What does this mean? Magkaiba yung 1 million ngayon kaysa 1 million after 1 year. Magkaiba yung 1 million after 1 year kaysa after 5 years. Okay, kasi money has cost. May cost ang pera. So when we're looking at investment principle, guys, kailangan titingnan natin cash flows, kailangan titingnan natin yung timing of the cash flows, at titingnan natin lahat ng possible na effects sa projects na to. Okay, so that's part of your investment principle. So cash flows, guys, which tells us that cash flows are king, and then the time value of money. Okay, I hope that's clear, guys. So, punta tayo sa next. Okay, financing naman. Ano yung sinasabi ng financing, guys? Kailangan alam natin yung WACC natin. Kailangan alam natin yung hurdle rate. Kailangan tama yung financing mix natin, yung percentage ng debt, percentage ng equity that maximizes shareholder wealth. Okay, so dapat also may matching, sinasabi ko kanina. Short-term assets should be financed by short-term debt. Long-term assets should be financed by long-term debt. Pag may mismatch yan, guys, it will destroy the value of the firm. Hindi maganda, no? Na nagkaroon tayo ng mismatch in terms of financing. Okay? All right. So also, isang role ng finance, dapat may steady flow, no? Dapat may steady flow ng liquidity. Kaya nga, guys, importante yung if you remember, guys, sinabi ko dati yung 5 C's of credit. Okay, kailangan yung character ng firm in being able to pay its obligations. Kailangan maganda yung reputation niya. Okay, that's one of the C, yung character. Okay, so kaya importante din, guys, may debt. The optimal capital structure will always involve debt, no? Kasi importante yung debt, guys, kasi alam naman natin na hindi laging liquid yung firm. May mga chances na may magkakaroon ng business opportunity, tapos hindi sufficient yung funds ng company, saan gagawin? Pwedeng humiram ng pera or pwedeng i-encourage yung mga shareholders na mag-invest ulit, no? Or mag-issue ng panibagong stocks. Right? So, financing principle, guys, talks about the availability of the funds. Okay? The savings of the company will always, not always be enough to support liquidity. So, kailangan ng panibagong funds. Kailangan pwedeng mangutang, pag mangungutang ka, kailangan maganda yung credit history ng company. So, importante din, guys, na maganda yung credit record ng company. That's why some companies, when they have the opportunity, manghihiram sila. That is to establish the credit worthiness of the company. Tapos talagang religiously nila na binabayaran para gumaganda yung credit rating nila. Kasi ang bawat company, guys, may mga credit rating yan. And lastly, sinabi natin yung dividend distribution, guys. This is one of the most important financial decisions ng isang company. No? Okay, it concerns how much should be paid out to shareholders and how much should be reinvested in the company. Ito yung retained earnings natin, flowed back to the operations. Ito yung dividends natin, distributed to the shareholders. Anong ratio natin to, guys? Yung RE? Pakichat nga, ano yung ratio na to? Yung sinabi natin kanina, what's the ratio here? Kunyari 80% to. tapos ito 20%. What's the name for this ratio? That is your RR blank ratio. Yes, retention ratio. Thank you, Bench. How about yung dividends? DPO. DPO, guys. That's your dividend payout ratio. Okay? So remember those two ratios, dividend payout ratio and retention ratio. So importante na function ng finance yan. Sila magde-determine kung maganda ba na ibigay na muna natin sa shareholders natin yung earnings natin, or magandang i-flow back muna natin yan sa operations because of this very important na project. So, dinidiscussion, guys, sa shareholders meeting, sinasabi ng company kung reason kung bakit sila magbibigay ng dividends, or bakit for this period, kunyari, hindi mo na magbibigay ng dividends, etc. Okay? So, that's a very important finance function. Okay. So, in a nutshell, guys, sabi natin, it's konting minutes lang ako, no? If there are enough investments that earn the hurdle rate, above the hurdle rate, mas maganda, guys, kung if there are not enough, no? If there are not enough investments, mas maganda kung a portion of the earnings i-return sa as cash to the owners of the business, to the shareholders, in the form of dividends. Sabi natin kasi, it also sends a very positive signal to the market, no? Kapag yung company nagre-return ng investments, ibig sabihin, sufficient yung earnings niya, sufficient yung cash niya para ibalik sa mga shareholders. Tapos yung iba naman, ipo-flow back na lang to the operations. Pag publicly traded, guys, there's such a thing as dividends, or meron din tinatawag tayo na stock buybacks or treasury stock. Okay? I would encourage you guys to research bakit yung company nag-engage siya pag reacquire ng stock nila. Ang ibig sabihin ng treasury stock, guys, kunyari si Jollibee, bibili niya sa market yung Jollibee din, yung shares niya. And there's a reason for that. No? So I'd like you to, pwede kong tanungin sa exam yan, what could be the reason why companies acquire treasury stock? Again, yung treasury stock, guys, are the shares of the company itself. No? So binibili nila sa market yan. At ano kaya ang dahilan kung bakit sila nagka-treasury stock? Okay, so that's a pointer for you to look into. Okay, so once again, guys, ano ba yung finance? Sabi natin, managing and employing of those funds, whether it be sa investment decision making, sa managing naman ng funds, yung financing, no? Ano yung optimal capital structure? Ano yung weighted average cost of capital? Yung matching principle, dapat kung short-term assets, imamatch yan sa short-term debt, long-term assets, imamatch yan sa long-term borrowing. So, part yan, guys, ng core ng finance. And also yung dividend distribution principle, no? Very important principle, very important role ng finance. Sabi nga natin, yung retention ratio at saka yung dividend payout ratio. Okay, so this is just to summarize it, guys. Investment decision, invest in assets that earn a return greater than the weighted average cost of capital or hurdle rate. So yung mga tinitingnan natin dyan, dapat yung hurdle rate natin, dapat mix ng debt and equity yan. Okay, optimal capital structure dapat yan. So, dito guys, makikita natin yung riskiness ng investment natin. Okay, I'll explain this as we go along kasi pupunta na tayo dito sa corollary principle ng risk and return. Tapos dapat tinitingnan natin yung cash flows, yung magnitude niya, yung timing niya, tapos titingnan lahat ng effects. No? Ano yung effects ba sinasabi na potential na bumaba yung market, no? etc. So, ito yung mga risks na tinitingnan natin. Sa financing decision, guys, yung mix of debt and equity, okay, to fund operations, dapat yung WACC natin, dapat maximize sa shareholder value. Tapos sinasabi natin dito, dapat yung financing natin, parang yung sinabi ko kanina, that dapat matches the tenor of your assets. Short-term assets, short-term borrowing. Long-term assets, long-term borrowing dapat yung pag-match yan. Dividend principle, ibabalik ba yung cash sa owners or i-retain ba yan? Magkano yung ibabalik sa owners? Magkano i-retain? Very important decision making for finance. How would you choose to return cash? Okay, dapat ba dividends to or buybacks to? Okay, so those are important questions sa finance, no? Okay, so ito 'yon, no? Okay, sinamarize lang natin to, yung finance function. And all of this, guys, ang objective yan dapat maximize share value of the firm. Okay, I have a few more minutes. So this is the financing function, guys. Ito yung first principles ng finance. Sa investment, yung assets dapat na invest natin, dapat yung return siya mas mataas kaysa sa hurdle rate, WACC. Yung financing, dapat tama yung mix natin ng debt at saka equity. Tapos dapat pag fina-finance yung asset, dapat may matching siya, no? Tapos dividend decision, ilang percent ba ng DPO, Dividend Pay Out Ratio? Ilang percent ng retention rate? So these are things that are very important in order to maximize the value of the firm. So in a nutshell, guys, these are your financing function. Now for next meeting, pupunta na tayo, guys, dito, no? From slide 28 hanggang dulon-dulo. Okay? Hanggang dulon-dulo na. Tatapusin natin to next meeting. Okay, tapos may part B pa kasi to, yung instruments, yung markets, yun ang i-discuss natin sa part B. Okay? So, meron tayong hindi lang first principles. Yung first principles kasi natin, di ba, yung investment decisions, investment principles, financing principles, and your dividend principles. Ito, guys, yung corollary principles are very fundamental din to finance. And most of these, guys, na-mention ko na sa inyo. Number one, cash flow is king. Pag ina-assess natin investment, hindi natin tinitingnan yung net income. Ang tinitingnan natin yung cash flow. Okay? Cash is king. Kailangan ba i-compute yung net income? Yes. Kasi kailangan natin gumawa ng income statement para malaman natin yung sales, yung expenses, yung net income after tax, but we have to convert the net income after tax to cash. Cash flow is king. Kasi humiram tayo ng cash, magbabayad tayo ng cash. Okay? Also, time value of money, hindi pareho yung 1 peso today sa 1 peso after 5 years. We would rather have 1 peso now than 1 peso after 5 years. Kasi money has cost. Okay, so pag nag-co-compute tayo, guys, we'll have an exercise next meeting about this time value of money. And risk and return, the higher the risk, the higher should be the required return. Siyempre, dapat mako-compensate tayo for the risk that we're taking. Hindi magandang finance, guys, hindi magandang practice ng finance kung mag-a-assume tayo ng risk, tapos hindi tayo i-compensate doon. Hindi ka pwede maging CFO pag ganun, guys. So, sensitive tayo sa mga risk na tinitingnan, tapos dapat kung yung compensated tayo dapat doon sa risk na to. Lastly, guys, yung mga market forces, titingnan natin next meeting yung efficient market hypothesis, and then agency problem, sinabi na natin to last time. Sa isang corporation setting, nagkakaroon talaga ng agency problem, and the question is, how do we mitigate against this? How do we minimize this? To make sure that the professional management, the employees, do things that will really maximize shareholder value. Sabi nga natin last time that one example of this is your employee stock option plan. Okay? So next meeting, guys, we'll start with slide 29 hanggang dulo. Pakitingnan na lang ito, tapos titingnan din natin itong VUCA, yung volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. Okay, so last question, guys. Did you learn something today? Pakichat naman, guys. Yung honestly, kung okay ba yung discussion natin, kung natuto ba kayo. Yan. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yan. Salamat, ha. Sana, guys, sa bawat session natin may natututunan kayo para worth naman yung investment natin sa time. Okay, so thank you so much, and I'll stop recording this now.